Welcome, everyone. I'm Claire Jones. I'm a queer fantasy romance author, as well as a small publisher that helps other writers get their works shared with the world. And we are jumping on for my Marketing as Authors podcast, where I interview the amazing and inspiring authors in my network to discuss the marketing strategies that have hopefully propelled our careers forward in meaningful ways. If you're joining us, please like, comment, share below. Let us know that you're here. And today I'm talking to Erin. I'm so glad to have you.
Hello, Claire. I'm so excited to be here. Like, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, we already had a pre-podcast before the podcast, so I'm sure we could literally fill like an entire day worth of TED Talks just between
Yes.
the two of us.
Yep. It's, no doubt.
So please first give us a rundown of your books. What are they? How many? And what's coming up in the future?
Sure. So, I'm an Idaho girl. And so my books are about sexy cowboys and firefighters, all set in the great state of Idaho.
Love it.
Yes. So they're all set in the same world. And so even though there are multiple series, it's really fun because the characters all wander between the series,
Nice.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so my next book coming out is actually going to be this fall. It's called Thankful for Love. And it is a start to my servicemen series. So
Mm,
I will have a series all about the military, the hot bodies. So anyway, I'm excited about that. But yeah, I write small town contemporary Western romance is my official phrasing for it.
nice, nice. And have you always stayed in that genre?
I have. I don't know. It's just what I started writing in and where I've stuck. But yeah, I have 15 books.
Wow.
This will be number 16. It's coming out this fall.
Awesome.
And they're all in that same world. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that framework, honestly. It was those types of romance series that inspired me to kind of set it up the same way in my fantasy series of each book
Hmm.
has a different protagonist, but
Yep.
all of the characters kind of interweave between the books and like the next protagonist is introduced in the previous book and I really love that about the romance genre, like family of five brothers.
Oh yeah, exactly. Man, they just and it's Idaho, so it's believable, right?
Yeah,
That there's
yeah.
like this huge family and whatever. Yeah. So I do really like the interconnected standalones or the
Mm,
standalone series as I
mm,
call it, where each book is its own couple, right?
yeah.
They get together by the end of it. But then in the next book, I get to show them like having their baby reveal party where I gender reveal party where I do not have things set on fire or whatever crazy things happen at gender reveal parties. Mine do not have those kinds of things. Anyway, and then in a couple books after that, then the baby is in a stroller, and a couple books after that, hey, the baby's walking, and they see him at the fair and they see him at all these places, and you kind of get to like, you've just moved into this town and
Yeah.
you don't have to leave, which is
Yeah.
amazing for me, especially because yeah, then I don't have to go outside of my world where terrible
Mhm.
things happen. In my world, the bad guys get caught and go into jail is great.
Yeah. And it really creates reader buy-in too, because you develop a deep love for these characters. And you're like, oh, there's that person. Oh, I loved them. I'm so glad they're happy now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I have this whole town set up. So like book 10 in this series was is the local florist in town.
Mm,
So in all the other books, there's a florist delivering flowers to people.
mm,
And finally she gets her own love story,
yeah.
right? And so like things like that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just really have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see the florist have her own story for sure. So how
Mhm.
do you decide where to divide the series if it all takes place in the same universe?
Right, such a good question. And this actually has to do with marketing,
Mm,
which is as a wide author, which if anybody has heard of me before now, it probably is because of Wide for the Win. I started that group in 2019. I mean, people may enjoy cowboy romances too, who knows? But for the most part, people have heard of me because of Wide for the Win. But one of the primary promotional tactics that you can use as a wide author is having a permafree.
Mm,
And typically, the permafree is the start of a series.
mm,
And so, if I have all the books taking place in the same world, and and I have all the books in the same series, then I only have one permafree, and that's hard to promote and keep alive for a long time,
yeah.
right? It's easier if you have multiple series. So
Mm,
then I decided, okay, so basically I have my main series, which I call Cowboys of Long Valley Romance.
mm,
And that's basically where everybody goes who doesn't fit into one of the other series.
mm.
It's like my catch-all, right? It's set in Idaho, they're all cowboys, it's fine. So you go into the cowboy series. Other than that, like I had the firefighter series and it's four guys and they're all on the volunteer firefighter department. Then I have my servicemen series, of course, and those are all the military guys, which is very common in rural Idaho to go out and serve your country and then come back. So if you have any tie to the military, you go into the serviceman series. And then I have my musician series,
Mm,
which is all musicians, right? Going forward in the future, I'm going to have bull riders. I'm going to have smoke jumpers. I'm going to have pilots. I'm going to have medical. So I'm going to have quite a few. Um,
yeah.
and so, and then if you don't fit into any of those, well, look, howdy doody, you're a cowboy. How exciting.
I mean, that's interesting. How did you decide? Like, most of my experience in those types of series have to do with family-centric categorization. So how did you decide between the family being the center of the series versus like a occupation being the center of the series?
Um, Basically, it just came down to because my world, because it is a whole world, it
Mm,
isn't just a family,
mm,
right? Um, it had to be another way of splitting things up
mm,
that went outside of the family. I mean, I do, so out of the first four books in my Cowboy series, three of them are brothers, and the fourth
mm.
one is a best friend of the
Okay.
brothers, right? So I did kind of start there. And then as I went along, I was like, there are only so many of these kinds of things that I can write in the same world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I need to have a different way of splitting things out. And that's when I decided to do by profession instead.
Mm, mm,
But like one family, it's a older brother and then two twin younger brother and sisters, right? So
mm,
there's three of them together. The older brother is in the Cowboy series. The twin brother is in the Serviceman series, and the twin
mm,
sister is in the Musician series.
mm.
So they're actually three different family members in three different series, but they're all in the same, so it's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. Like I'm probably doing it very different than you would see otherwise, but it works for my world. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is that we can only read so many books at a time to ourselves that we only get exposure to so many different methods out there when it comes to writing these things. So I'm not an expert in telling you like, what is a weird method and what is not a weird method. I'm like, I can tell you
yeah,
my experience as a reader, but
yeah. And I have been thinking about starting a completely different world,
Mhm.
and having like, kind of like Penny Reed or something, where it's a bunch of brothers. I've
Mm,
been kind of wondering about like playing with that idea, but I've got so many more people to tell their stories in Long
mm.
Valley. Um, my mom, who does not read romance really at all. I
Huh.
got my love of romance from my father, funnily enough,
Love to
who
see it.
was
Love to see it.
yes, he was in the Marines for 20 years,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Captain in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And he cries at like Ghost and all these other movies. He's such a
Oh,
soft, he's funny. That's who I got my love of romance from.
I love it.
Anyway, My mom says that the most unbelievable part about my books is that there are this many well-adjusted, hunky, and single men all in the same town.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, Mom, it must be in the water. What can I say? But other than that, I do really try hard to have very realistic situations and circumstances. So like there I have main characters who struggle to pay the rent. I have main
Mm,
characters who struggle with things like dyslexia and
mm,
cutting. I have main characters who I have one who has a really bad stutter.
mm,
It's just lots of different things, and so there's a lot of realism to my books.
mm.
It's not a lot of like, and I don't have any problems with this. I find it fun to read, where I think of kind of their fantasy, their contemporary, but it's a bunch of billionaire guys who are also SEALs, who also own a horse ranch where they
Yeah.
go and muck out their own stall because
Yeah.
why wouldn't they? It's not like they would hire anybody to muck out the horse stalls, obviously, but they don't, they pretend that they're not actually rich, and you find out at the end that they're a billionaire. Whee! Like that's what I think of as fantasy set in a
Yeah.
contemporary setting. Like, come
Yeah.
on, let's get realistic. So like I don't have any of that. Mine is very much real people, real problems, getting there happily ever after.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And because you've always been in Idaho, yeah?
Mm. So my dad was in the Marines for 20 years, and
Oh,
so
right.
like I was actually born in North Carolina, and I've lived all over the world.
Mhm.
And when I got married, yeah, I've lived quite a few places, but then I
Mhm.
ended up back in Idaho. So I'm
Mm.
actually on the family farm.
Oh, wow. So why did you choose Idaho since it wasn't really like a childhood experience that rooted you in that place?
That's a good question. My sister actually was like, really? I thought you would have, the last thing you would write would be Cowboys, because when my dad first retired from the Marine Corps and we moved back home to the town that he grew up in and where the family farm was at, um, I thought I died and gone to hell. And I hated Idaho so much. And so it's really interesting that like I did end up writing books set in Idaho, and they are about cowboys, and they're all in a small town. And what's going on here? But
Yeah, yeah.
when you're a teenager, right, you just hate everything anyway.
True story.
I was a teenager when we moved back to Idaho, and so I just had a really hard time adjusting. Like, what are up with all these hits? They go to school and they're like ride horses, and they're just yeah, they're just small town hicks. Um, Missing most of their teeth kind of a thing, you know. Not the sexy kind of hicks that I read about. Uh anyway, so I don't know. I have always loved to read about cowboys, and
Mm,
I guess it's just part of my desire to take what I see in the world and write an idealized version of it,
mm,
where here's this small town and it does have problems, but the good guy always wins in the end,
mm,
right? And so that's just kind of my thing. And Idaho is what I know something about. I actually considered writing it originally. Most people don't know this, but the very first version of the very first book was set in Montana.
mm,
And I thought, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? Like I
mm.
love Montana. I love it to pieces. Um, but I know Idaho. Like, why am I setting this in another state that I don't know quite as well?
Yeah, when I think of cowboy billionaire romances, I think of Montana.
Hmm. Yep. There are really very, very few cowboy romances set in Idaho. And I actually
Mhm.
think that's to my benefit in some
Yeah,
respects because I do sort of stand out, right?
yeah.
Otherwise, it's Texas, Montana, with a sprinkling of sometimes Colorado and Wyoming. But
Mm,
Idaho,
yeah.
I just, I'm kind of alone in that
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that arena.
I think we kind of collectively forget that Idaho exists sometimes.
No, legit. That's so true.
You said Idaho, and I was like, oh, right, that is a state.
That is a state. Yeah. The number of people who get Idaho and Iowa
Oh,
mixed
yeah.
up is really funny. It's yeah. Yeah, because they both you would think maybe the abbreviation code would be IA for both of
Yeah.
them. And so you
Yeah.
can get it mixed up there. Idaho, Iowa, they kind of sound the same. They're both rural states, but one is like they're in different parts of the country. They're shaped very differently and whatever. But honestly, if you were to ask the typical Idahoan, it, they would be really happy that you forgot that Idaho existed. They'd be
Yeah.
like, keep it up.
Yeah.
Continue to forget about us. We're not here. You don't see anything.
There's
Uh,
nothing going on. We'll send you
yeah.
our potatoes, and that's all that you get.
Yes, yes. We have had a lot of people move in from out of state because real estate was cheaper here. And
Mm,
so, unfortunately, our real estate market, like most places, has gone completely bananas. And so
mm,
it's very expensive now to
mm.
buy real estate in Idaho, which is stupid because our income is still low. It's
Yeah.
only our real estate that exploded. So there's a lot of like, you can go away. It's fine. You don't have to think about Idaho going on out there. Me, I'm like, let's welcome everybody because that's just who I am. But
We have some Cowboys for you.
yes, yes,
And they do have their teeth, we promise.
all of them. Maybe not the wisdom teeth, but we'll forgive them for that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So when did the
Anyway.
writing start?
So the first version, 2015, I didn't publish until 2016.
Mm. Were you
Yeah.
writing up until then, or was that a completely new endeavor for you?
I was one of those really dorky kids, who read like a fiend
Hmm.
growing up, right? And
Been there.
yep, yeah. And so then of course when you read a whole bunch, you also like to write a whole bunch, right? They
Mm.
tend to go hand in hand. And so I entered all the writing contests as a kid and won and whatever, blah blah. But I didn't think you could make any money as an author. And so I didn't really focus on it as being a career,
Yeah,
right? Like
fair.
you have to go get a real job.
Yep.
I'm in my 40s. I earned these gray hairs legitimately.
Ah,
And so, growing up in the 80s and 90s, like indie author just literally didn't exist.
yeah, yeah.
And so, I worked for libraries. I was a librarian for a while. In the library world for 7 years. I worked at an office supply store. So I bought all of the different pens,
Oh,
all of the cool
sure.
papers. Oh yeah, I think I
Mm,
spent half of my money on all the different like notebooks because
mm,
you need all the notebooks. I
yeah.
don't know if anybody else has that obsession, but
Yes, I have a lot.
yes, do not work for an office supply store if that is a
Mm,
problem for you. I'm
yeah.
just warning you
Mhm.
now. So I had a lot of different things like that. I actually was a teacher for a while. I taught elementary. So yeah, I did a bunch of different things, and then I found through a an article one night I was reading, and it was talking about indie authors and
Mm,
how you can make money as an indie author, and I was like, what is this? Tell me more. Because up to that point it was like, wait, you can't make any money from that, right? You have to go be legitimately employed. Come on,
yeah.
peoples. And so funnily enough, my husband wrote the first version of the first book.
Mm,
And he is not a lover of romance. The only romance books he'd ever read in his life, if you even consider them to be romance, was the Twilight series.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah,
Okay.
right. So the first version was needed some massive help. I actually ended up pulling it down and completely rewriting the book. I kept the plot line the same, but yeah, anyway. So that is sadly enough. Um, kind of a touchy topic because my husband and I are going through a divorce now.
Oh.
Turns out he's not a very good guy. I did not find my happily ever after, which makes me
Mm,
very sad.
mm.
Um, and he is attempting to claim my catalog as his because he wrote the first version of the first book and because he helped me plot my other books. So we are busy fighting each other out in court. Most romantic thing you've heard all day, isn't it?
Yay!
I know.
Love it! Nuts!
Yeah, I know. I know. So this is life. Anyway, so the good news is that I get to write about other people who get their happily ever afters, even if mine
Yeah,
was not so happily ever
yeah.
after.
Once you have some distance, I'm sure there's going to be a divorce proceeding in your book.
Yes, yes. I actually already started writing a book where the main protagonist is a lawyer.
Mm,
And so what is that? I can't remember the name that I came up with for the book. But anyway, yeah. So it will end up in my books. Yes.
mm.
And there will be many variations of his name and middle names and
Yeah.
family names who all
Hmm.
end up as the bad guys in my books.
Hmm.
I'm just
Yeah.
putting it out there right
Yep.
now.
Hmm. Yeah, I can already
So
see it for sure. So presumably the writing has gone well for you then.
yeah, so I am a full-time author. I actually went full-time in 2018. So
Nice.
it's been,
Congratulations.
yeah, yeah, it's been a hot minute. So let's see. So I started out as a KU author.
Mm,
I was exclusive to Kindle Unlimited because I had been told like you can't make any money unless you're in KU, and of course I want to make money, so of course I'm
mm,
going to go into KU.
mm.
So my first books in 2016 were in KU. I went wide, meaning I published outside of Kindle Unlimited, outside of Amazon, and went to all the various platforms and on my own site, things like that. I did that in 2017. Um, I I made that change because after uploading all of my books into KU and going along, I was like, okay, cool, cool. I've got my books, the start of my catalog published. I would now like to get my books into libraries. As a
Mm,
former librarian, right?
mm.
That's very important to me. And so I was like, okay, how do I, get my books into libraries? And that's when I found out that ebooks
Yeah.
couldn't go into libraries. And actually that just changed in the last couple of weeks, right? And now
Mm.
you can have your books in libraries and in Amazon Kindle Unlimited. Um, at the same time, a brand new change. And I was
Yeah,
thinking,
that's new to me. Like, does the libraries get it from KU?
no, you can
So,
now put your books into libraries and you can go through like
interesting.
draft to digital.
Huh.
It just changed within the last couple of weeks. And when I heard that, I thought, holy cow. I really like I I would love the ability to wind back the clock and like see the world play out in a different way, right? The what is a speculative fiction where it's
Yeah.
like Hitler won in
Yeah.
World War II, that kind of thing. If Amazon had had that
Yeah.
from the beginning,
Yeah.
because I didn't really care about publishing on the other platforms. I only cared about getting my books into libraries.
Mm,
And so I would, if they had allowed that from the beginning, I would have published my books into the libraries and I probably would still be in KU. I
yeah.
probably never would have started Wide for the Win. Like huge, huge life-changing things would have been very, very different if there'd been
Yeah.
this one tiny change. It's fascinating to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I started publishing in 2016, went wide in 2017, went full time in 2018, started Wide for the Win in 2019, um, and started doing one-on-one consultations to help other authors be successful in 2020. So it was pretty rapid. Um,
Yeah, that is.
yeah, so I've been really lucky. My books have done really well, hit the USA Today bestsellers list, have all of my books in human narration, have them in other languages, have them in all the print varieties. I'm about to start my first Kickstarter. I'm excited about
Congratulations.
that. Yes. So yeah, I have been lucky enough to support myself And my someday ex-husband at the same time, he did not work for the last 7 years of our marriage. And so I have not only done all of this supporting myself, but another adult human being for 7 years.
Mm, I mean, hell yeah.
Yeah. So it's been interesting sometimes, but I finally said, you know what? Like if I wanted to support somebody else, I would have had children, and I didn't, and I don't need an adult child. So
Mm,
I left him in February 21st. In case anybody wants to mark that down on their calendars, feel free. We're calling it Erin Wright's Liberation Day. I'm
uh,
sure it's going to be printed in the calendars, but you can go ahead and just like scribble it in right now if you would
yeah,
like.
request the PTO now.
Exactly, exactly. February 21st, Erin Wright's Liberation Day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
best
For a
thing that's
minute,
ever happened to me.
I thought you said February 31st, and I was like, that would be even better.
That's hilarious. No. 21st. Yeah, 10 days after my birthday. 11 days after my birthday. So anyway,
You're a February baby. I'm also a February baby.
yes, Aquarius.
I'm Pisces. I'm at the other end of the month.
Okay, yeah, February
Mhm,
10th.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
good things happen
Well,
in February,
I mean, it's my favorite month, obviously. And it is my
obviously.
favorite month because it's so weird too.
Yes, it really is. It's like the bizarre, like weirdo month where it's like, it's this long. No, it's this long. Oh, this year
Yeah.
we have a leap day. Oh no, this year is the non-leap
Yeah.
year. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the one that's spelled really funky too, right? Like all
Yeah.
the rest of them spell and it's normal, but February is like this weird, I don't know. I don't know where this word came from, but
I
anyway.
mean, it's a highly recommended month, in my opinion. I'm not lying.
We're not biased or anything.
No, no, absolutely not. No bias at all, ever. So let's get into marketing.
Oh
You
yeah.
released a lot of books quickly at the get-go.
Mhm.
Was that intentional?
Yes, I intended to keep doing it too.
Mm.
Um, I unfortunately slowed down. But yeah, I just wanted to have um a basis to build my catalog on and
Mm.
build my career on.
Mm.
It's really difficult to sell books that don't exist, it
Mm.
turns out. Although you can do a version of that using like Kickstarter. But for the most part, you can't sell books that don't exist. And so I thought, well, I need to get some books out so that I have a catalog so I can start promoting them, so I can start making money. And so yeah, my first 4 or 5 books were all in the first year,
Wow.
um, which I mean, compared to some indie romance
Yeah.
authors out there, is like still slow,
Yeah.
right? And that was the fastest I ever was. After that, I slowed down to a trickle of 1 or 2 per
Yeah.
year, and then I haven't released anything for quite a while. I'm trying to think if I want to confess about how long it's been since I released my last book. I
Yeah.
have
This
one
is a
coming out in
welcoming
November.
audience.
4.5 years.
I mean, I think the whole numbers in the beginning make up for that, though, because if you're looking at averages, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's absolutely average this out.
Yeah.
Definitely an average that we are going to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But I am releasing in November. So very, very excited about
I
this.
mean, that does say something, though, that you've been able to still support yourself and another human being on a full-time salary without publishing anything in 4.5 years.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. Hmm. 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 So yep. I have had to be creative sometimes. I've taught classes, I do consultations, and then one of the things that I really stress a lot is having multiple streams of income. And I
Yes.
don't just mean like, having your books on various platforms, which I obviously, but across ebooks and having, those across various platforms, that's obviously very important. But I have Portuguese translations German translations. I have print variations. I have ebooks. I have audiobooks, human. And then something we haven't even touched yet is so I was born and raised Mormon.
Okay.
And I'm not Mormon any longer, but my family is, right? And so my poor mother, she's like, dear, I love your books, but could there be less swearing and sex in them? And I'm like, Mom, you are not my target audience, right? Like I've said that to her so many times. You're not my target audience. Well, I finally thought, you know what if I release a sweet version of my books? So I actually have a completely separate catalog under Erin Wright, with my
Whoa.
right.
My mind is blown from that. That is
Yeah,
wild.
I told you I get really creative. When you
That
have to pay
is
the bills, you got to pay the
so
bills, right?
interesting.
So all the swearing is gone, all the sex is gone, it's fade to black. And now you have a completely new catalog.
Huh.
Hmm.
Huh.
Double the books.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, right now they're only in ebooks. My next step is actually getting them up in print, and because I have a lot of people who love my books, but want to not have the sex and the swearing. So I have
Fast.
um pictures, the covers are like a barn with horses in front or a house with flowers, right? Like that kind of thing,
Yeah.
as opposed to my steamy versions where it's a shirtless dude
Yeah.
with a cowboy
Yeah.
hat on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I kept the name of the books. So Accounting for Love is Accounting for Love. That didn't change, but I changed the name of this series. So instead of being Cowboys of Long Valley Romance, it's Sweet Cowboys of Idaho. So now I have in my series name Idaho, which is important. I have sweet to very much like scream,
Yeah.
these are sweet books.
Yeah.
And then I also have in I think it's at the top, it's for sure at the bottom of each of my blurbs, this is the sweetened version. If you're looking for full steam, go check this out over here, and then vice versa on my sexy books.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I did get a little bit of pushback from Amazon. They sent me an email that was like, this seems to have been, like pirated or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Like,
Yeah.
do you have rights to this book? And
Yeah.
so then I had to write them an email as myself, giving myself permission to publish my own books, which is, Amazon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I someday I'm going to teach a class on sweetifying your books, because I feel
I
like
love
there's a real need for this out there.
that. Yeah.
And why not? They don't sell as well as my steamy books.
I was gonna ask that, like, how do they do?
Yeah, probably I need to pull my numbers. But my most recent uh, the most recent version of numbers that I looked at, I would say I sell about 2 to 1. So two
Mm,
steamy to every one sweet.
mm,
But if you think about how easy it was to do the
yeah.
sweet, right? So, and you're tapping a whole new market, which I really
Yeah.
like.
Because it seems like what we've been talking about so far, a lot of your tactics and strategies have to do with the logistics
Hmm.
more so than necessarily like just quantity of visibility.
Right. Yes, exactly. Because I will go in and I will make sure that like my books are maximized in terms of the metadata so that I am using the right words to show up for searches. So, I have keywords embedded in my series names. Cowboys of Long Valley Romance, right? Very much on purpose. And
Yeah.
then my new series, Sweet Cowboys of Idaho, very much on purpose.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that I do. And then just the like making sure that everything is all the different variations are out as possible. Oh, I'm working on Spanish right now. So that will be my next language that will go out. But but in terms of like, I feel like there's a spectrum out there of authors who rapid release. I know one author who releases a book every single month and has for 10 years,
Yeah.
right? So you've got those kinds of authors. Do they maximize all of their listings? No,
No.
no. They
Yeah.
don't even put up pre-orders,
Yeah.
right?
It's just mass churning.
Exactly. And it's the way that this gal is one of my close friends. She is an absolute sweetheart of a human being. It is the way that her brain works, right? Like she is just a go, 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 rapid, like, and she doesn't slow down for anything. And detail oriented is on the not list for her. She is one of the least detail oriented people I've ever met in my life. Um, and so like it doesn't make sense for her to approach the publishing world like I do.
Yeah.
Um, but what I love about the indie author world is that you can have someone who does things like that and
Yeah.
who is super successful. And then you can have somebody who does things the exact other end of the spectrum
Yeah.
from her, like me, and I can also be super successful, right?
Yeah.
And like we can both be successful in the same world. And I think that ability to adapt to the individuality of each author is
Hmm.
one of the reasons why being an indie author is so appealing to so many authors out
Yes.
there.
Yes. And that is exactly why I started this podcast too, because I wanted to show that there's a different path for everyone to quote unquote success. Because there's
Yes.
also a different version of success for everyone too.
Absolutely. So I do a lot of consultations, right? One-on-one with authors to help them figure out what works best for them. And I was just talking to an author the other day, and we were going through like, okay, but what would be your version of success? And we nailed down something that would mean a lot to her
Yeah.
specifically. This
Yeah.
is what I need to hit in order to feel successful as an author.
Yeah.
And it's very different than what anybody else would need to hit in order to feel successful, right?
Yep.
So like it very much just depends on what you want out of life. And
Hmm.
do you know the Clifton Strengths?
Yes.
Have you? Okay.
I haven't taken
So,
it, but I know of it.
oh, okay, okay. So my number one strength is learner. I love to learn all the things. And
I
that should,
could have guessed that.
right? Yeah, exactly. Who's surprised?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love to learn all the things. Number three is input, which means that I then like to take that information and like organize it, right?
Yeah.
So high learner and high input is both very common. Both of them are very common for teachers,
Hmm.
librarians, and authors. What?
What a concept.
The three different careers I've been in. Anyway, and then number five for me is context, which
Hmm.
just basically means like I like to know the background of something before I give advice. So
Yeah.
people who are high in context tend to be historians,
Hmm.
professions like that. If you were to take a sneak peek into my streaming history, you would see lots of documentaries because I love to learn and I love all the historical aspect of things. And so
Yeah.
I'm a huge documentary and nonfiction reader just about like just to learn things. I just like
Yeah.
all the things, right?
Yeah.
But the high context is really important to me in terms of giving advice. So a lot of people will just be like, well, you should just do blah, 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 because it worked for me, is the
Yes.
subtext to that,
Yes.
right? And for me, I'm like, okay, how about if I'm going to ask you questions and we're just going to keep going until I get to a point where I feel like I can give you valid advice. And it may be completely different than advice I give to anybody else. And
Yeah.
that's the point of it all, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you pay to talk to me one on one if I'm just going to give you the same advice that I gave every other person I talked to?
Oh man, I want to underline that and highlight it and just print it on a billboard.
Yeah. Yeah. You should take the Clifton Strengths test. I would be really curious to see what your
Yeah.
results came back
All right, I
as.
will. I will, and I'll let you know. But
Okay. All
I
right.
experienced very similar things. I did like a consultation table at the San Francisco Writers Conference this year, and I only had
Oh,
eight
fun.
minutes to give advice to people who sat down at my table. And I had to start out with being like, all right, what is your actual goal here? Because they were frazzled by the time they sat down at my table. They were like, I should be doing all this stuff and I don't know what I'm doing first and like I'm not doing the right things and like they get in this like self-doubting, self-shaming guilt cycle from like listening
Mhm.
to all of the presentations and panels and stuff for the weekend. And so first off, I had to remind everyone that this is supposed to be fun. I was like, first off, you started down this path because you
Mhm.
presumably enjoy it in some shape
Right.
or form. And so, like,
Mhm.
let's just put that on the table. Second off,
Yes.
what is your actual goal here?
Mhm.
Because you don't even need to get an agent if you have certain goals.
Right. Yes.
You know, you don't
Yes.
even have to worry about perfecting your query letter
Right.
if
Yes.
your goals have nothing to do with getting an agent and traditional publishing and all of that that it entails. I had one woman sit down who literally told me that her goal was to read passages of her book at a local bookstore.
Oh,
And
that's easy
I
to
was like, you
hit.
don't even need to be printed at that point. I was like, you literally just need to show up with excerpts of your book.
Wow. I will put this out there for anybody who's listening, and is kind of curious. I have literally never queried an agent or a publishing house. It never appealed to me at all because I knew what I wanted to write. I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't need someone else to help me with it. I can do it all by myself. And I have, right? Like I don't say that and then like next week I'm going to figure it out, right? Like I've been doing this since 2016. But I knew myself and I knew that I was capable of figuring it out. And I looked at traditional publishing as being a way to have somebody else take a big part of the pie and not really give me what I needed in return. The only reason that I have ever been tempted by traditional publishing was getting my books onto bookstore shelves as a like a nationwide, just
Mm,
stocked everywhere kind of thing,
mhm,
right? Like if somebody would buy my print rights and would get me into lots of indie bookstores and chain bookstores across the US and around the world. It's just like you go in and you pick it up and you flip it over and you're like, oh, look, this looks like a great book and whatever. I would probably sign over my print rights for that. Other than that, I can do it all myself and I can do it better. I sound
oh,
really
yeah.
like I sound like a good
No,
cocky ass, but
I
I
love
can.
it. I absolutely love it because confidence in your competence
Yeah, that.
is one of the underlying factors of success in literally anything you do.
Yes, yes.
But
Yeah,
specifically, too, if you are indie publishing or even traditional publishing and going through the query process and trying to find an agent, you
right.
have to have confidence in your competence to do the
Yes.
things that it takes to achieve that goal that you have.
Yes, and you're exactly right that it does need to be there for traditional publishing too. Here's the thing. I have had multiple authors tell me, well, but I wanted to be picked up by traditional publishing so that I could point to that. And
Yes.
it was almost like a validation thing,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
If somebody else says that this is good, then it really is good.
Yes.
Here's
Mm-hmm.
the thing, so they can pick up or pass over all sorts of things, right? Like you hear all the stories about like, oh, this person didn't it got passed over by 30 something publishing companies before somebody finally took a chance on her and now she's, worldwide known, whatever. Right? Like it's all comes down to a lot of personality and like what somebody likes and doesn't like. And you may be picked up by an agent or a publishing house that likes your idea and then spends the next 6 months having you completely rewrite your book and
Yep.
then throw it out anyway. I've
Yep.
heard those horror stories.
Yep.
And the truth of the matter is it doesn't matter how many other people tell you that your work is good. If you do not believe it yourself, It is like filling a uh s- quicksand.
Yes.
It will just you they can dump it in all day every day. You could hire somebody to follow you around and sing your praises, right? But if you don't believe in yourself, it doesn't matter. You have to believe in yourself first. You have to believe that you're good enough as an author.
Yeah.
Seeking external validation is an endless cycle that
Yes.
does not end in a happy place. This is
Yes.
why so many singers go like crazy in their careers because they're wanting that external validation from everybody else that they really can sing, that they are really good. And the ones who are grounded, who don't fall into that trap, tend to be the ones who don't end up, like coked out somewhere out of their minds, right? But it's that need to have somebody else tell you that you are good at what you do that is it's a bottomless pit and it's not going to end well.
Yeah. You're going to have to sell yourself either way.
Yes.
And you have to
Yes.
be able to stand confidently in that sales pitch, whether the
Yes.
sales pitch is to the individual reader, whether the sales pitch is to the bookstore, whether it's to the library, to an agent, to a publisher. You have to be able to stand in that pitch confidently.
Yes. Yes. And you have to be able to be true to yourself, right? Like if I was to pitch to somebody and they would be like, well, I mean, it's fine, but there aren't really any Idaho romances out there. So how about if we move this to Montana? Like, yeah, but then it's not my series.
Yeah.
Right. So like you have to have confidence in yourself and whether you are pitching it to somebody else or you are just selling it to the world as a whole, it's yours. Own it. Have faith in yourself,
Hmm.
which doesn't mean to be a prick who is like, I'm all that in a bag of chips and nobody can tell me what to do. You have to be open to feedback and advice, but that's like going from end of the spectrum to the other, right? Like I need everybody to tell me how amazing my work is, so that I can be confident about my own work. You cannot borrow confidence from somebody else. It comes from inside. To the other end of the spectrum of I know everything and nobody can tell me anything. Neither of those are helpful or useful.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't define competence as flawlessness.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, confidence and competence does
Mm-hmm.
not mean perfect. It does not mean unfallible or any other thesaurus term you
Right.
want to throw at it.
You're doing
But
good though. You're doing excellent vocabulary, by the way.
I am a little bit of a wordsmith, you know. I am
So
I'm confident in my competence as a wordsmith.
yes. Earlier today, true story, I was proofreading and not proofreading. I did end up proofreading though. I was reading through the contract the lawyer sent to me for my
Mm.
divorce,
Oh,
and there was a mistake in it. And so I sent it back with a circle and
really?
I
Let me get out my
notated.
red pen.
I notated out. I was like, this is why this is inaccurate. I just want to let you guys know this is the same contract they've been sending to people for forever. And I'm like, let me fix it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
That legit happened earlier
No,
today.
I get that urge
Anyway,
all the time, all the time.
yes, yes. They were like, "Oh, no, you're right." I'm like, I know.
Mm.
So just thought you should know too. No, you should be open to learning. If anybody ever looks you in the eye and says with their full chest that they know everything that there is to know about self-publishing, I want you to put on your running shoes and run as fast as you can away from them because it isn't true. I have been publishing, learning, leading a large group on the internet of indie authors for coming up on a decade now. And I still learn stuff every single day. I don't know everything. You want somebody to help you with your KU catalog? I'm not it. I know almost nothing about KU other than it's not for
Same.
me. You want somebody to help you with your Facebook ads or your BookBub ads or your Amazon ads? I don't run cost per click ads.
Not me.
I've never run one in my life. Don't care. Don't want to. And so I can't help you with that, right? Like it's just not something that I know anything about. And even things that I think that I know things about, I will occasionally learn something. I'll be like, oh my God, that's something new. I did not know that. How exciting, right? So everybody should be learning all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Would that be the one piece of advice that you would give to people in our audience?
Yes. Um, if I hate to say it, but this is true talk. If you are someone who likes to be in a stable arena in terms of your job, where you go to work and you do the things and you go home and you make the money and things are very like concrete, laid out, maybe I don't know, you pave roads for the city, something like that, right? Like it's just like this is what I do, and it's pretty straightforward. You will hate being an indie author. Um, the indie author world changes constantly, like
Every minute.
KU, right?
Every minute.
All of a sudden now Amazon's like, yeah, you can put your books into libraries and still have them be in KU. Like, what? Are you being serious right now? Yeah. So that just changed. And it's like that all the time.
I
You
mean, it's
really
especially true if you're on social media and trying to chase the algorithm. Like that
mm,
also just like it's stressful to try to conform to it.
yes, yes. Yes. So I have people who are like, I just want things to stop and for me to just be able to publish my books and be done. And I'm like, I get that desire. I It won't happen.
Yeah.
So are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Because you can wish that that's the way things worked all you
Yeah.
want, but it
Or
isn't.
how can you set up your life to allow for that too?
Right. So maybe you hire someone who moves with the changes and manages your catalog on your behalf, and you just get to go over into the corner and tappity tap on your keyboard and write your next book and ignore all of that. Totally legit. Absolutely. You're going to have to give them a portion of your income, whether that is a flat fee, whether that is a percentage of the sales, whether that is an hourly fee, right? But you're going to make less because you are not doing it yourself. However, maybe you're hella happier because of it,
Yes.
right? And that's where it all comes back to that individual
Yes.
of I I can scale this mountain in a very different way than you, but we can both end up at the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had a friend hire me in the last 48 hours to manage their catalog for them. And I will be taking it over completely. I will be managing all of the promotions for it, all the uploads. I will be editing everything. It's going to cost them a pretty penny, but now they don't have to. It's what they hate, and they are a fast enough author and they make good enough money that they can afford to hire me to do all the rest of it so they don't have to. So there's always options for everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. I just like the visual of us all climbing the mountain together and
You
trying to
know,
hold each other's hands while we do it, maybe.
absolutely. So I used to say there's lots of different ways to skin a cat, but my poor cat was like, "Excuse me." I'm like, "I need to find a better analogy than this."
Rude.
And I had
Rude.
somebody say, "Climb the mountain." I was like, "Ooh, I like that." So that's now it. And there are different, everybody has a different way of climbing a mountain, but we both get up to the top.
Yeah.
And Hermes the helpful, my cat, doesn't have to give me the stink eye about saying that. So
Yeah. I am grateful on Hermes' behalf.
yes, yes, yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Well, anything you want to add before we start wrapping up?
um, You should be wide even if you can't get into libraries when you're in KU. I don't understand. Okay, this really is one of the other ways of climbing up the mountain, though, right? So, but this is coming from me. I am a flawed human being with my own perspective on things. And I do really struggle with the idea of being so dependent upon one company.
Yes.
And if something happens at that company and things go sideways, then all of a sudden your entire life is turned upside down. Your income, all of the stability. If the algorithms change, I have been around since KU 1.0. I came
Mm.
into the author world right as KU 2.0 was being introduced. And it was wild to be reading the posts. It was literally the week that KU 2.0 came into being was when I found indie authors. And so everybody was just like running around with their hair on fire. And I had no idea what was going on because I was like, what's KU 1.0? What's 2.0? What is KU? I don't understand. Make it
Yeah.
stop. Right.
Yeah.
And it's only gotten crazier since then. But I read all the time where people have had their account shut down. Amazon's algorithms have completely changed, and now their books aren't surfacing like they used to. And page reads uh, payment per page has dropped, and now they don't know how they're going to pay for whatever. When you are wide and you are so much more in control of your own career as opposed to giving all of that control over to one company that honestly and legitimately does not give a rat's ass about the indie author world. We are at best a rounding error for them, truly. So don't give them that power over your career.
Yep.
That's my like woo go wide pitch for
Yeah.
the day.
Yep. I will stand on that mountain with you.
That's right. We can climb it together.
I'll
Yay.
bring my grappling hook.
Okay, perfect. I love
As
it.
long as I can baby Bjorn my dog to my chest while we do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. All right. I would say I could carry my cat, but he would be like, "What are we doing here?"
Mm, mm.
So I'll just have to borrow somebody else's dog. It'll be
Yeah,
good.
well, I mean all dogs are welcome and all cats are welcome, even porcupines and ferrets.
But we will not carry the porcupines. Maybe the ferrets, not the porcupines.
We'll just put little rubber tips on all of their quills.
Oh my God. This
Uh,
has been so much fun, Claire. Thank you so much for having me on. Oh my
yes,
gosh. This was
absolutely.
wonderful.
I mean, I always love the conversations I have in this podcast because like I learn something, the audience learns something. I hopefully get to like laugh and commiserate and sometimes rant with the people that are on the podcast with me because it can be
Absolutely.
a tough world out there.
Yes, very much. Well, if anybody wants to come hang out with me, my website is Erin, girl spelling, Wright, like Wright Brothers. So erinwright.net. Some bastard went in and took .com before I
Wow.
started publishing. I know. I'm not sure if I've forgiven them yet or not. But
Well,
anyway,
do you still have an AOL email?
I don't. I am a slacker baby. I
I
just I
I
know.
mean, that would kind of vibe with the .net and AOL.com. Like, that's honestly a vibe. Like, that is considered vintage at this point.
Right? It's hilarious. I don't have the AOL. Some other person I'm sure stole that too. Erin Wright is a fairly common name. Yeah, I didn't really pay attention. So,
Mm. Now, I mean, well, Claire Jones, very uncommon, I will tell
oh
you.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
I am unique. There is
Isn't Jones?
not, there's not another Claire Jones in my hometown with the same birthday as me. No, no.
Oh my God, no way.
Same, like I
Oh,
found out when I was signing up for a library card.
oh, oh, wow. I Jones and Smith are the two most common last names, right, in the US?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I imagine
yeah.
there's couple of
Yeah, there's
Claire.
literally thousands of Claire Joneses out there. There's even a LinkedIn group devoted to Claire Joneses.
No way. Oh,
Yeah,
that's funny.
yeah, yeah. That's why my middle initial is very important.
Right. Yes. Yes. Well, I didn't have the K in until I started doing the sweet versions, but I wanted them to have different names so that I could have different like Amazon profiles, right?
Yeah.
So there's an Amazon profile for Erin Wright and then Erin K. Wright. And I have bought the website erinkwright.com. I should buy the .net.
Hmm.
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 Okay. Anyway, so
Well, audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and stories with us as well. We'd love to know, have you tried any of these strategies? Are you interested in trying any of these strategies? Are you like running away in terror after this? Let us know. And please do let us know if you have any questions, because we go through a lot of vocabulary in these podcasts that you may or may not be familiar with. So if you need the glossary, we are happy to provide it. Special thanks to Erin for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
yes, it really has been. I really enjoyed this.
Well, please comment, like, subscribe below. Check out linktree/clairjoyance for my links, and I'll make sure all of your links are in the show notes for easy access. Until next time, please remember that you all have extraordinary stories to share, and we're rooting for you as you use them to change the world for the better. Take care, guys.